Hey guys, it's Devo Primo from Lyrical Reviews. Enjoy this segment and make sure to check us out on Afro Vibes Radio Houston.
Favorite radio station.
This is Afro Vibes Radio Houston.
This is a Total Medulla production.
Welcome, everybody. Welcome in. You're listening to Lyrical Reviews. I'm your host, Devo Primo, and I am joined.
That name.
Every time. Can't get through the intro without somebody laughing.
He's going to stick with it, too.
I know, right?
He's trying to get like a Charlemagne the God or whatever.
Yeah, Devo Primo.
I get it. Everybody has to have their handle.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I am joined by Kyle Lee.
No nickname required. Just Kyle.
Just Kyle Lee.
Kyle Lee, no nickname required. Stephanie MacD Neal.
What's up, everyone? What's up?
Gigi, also known as Gangster Granny.
I know. Yay. We're so glad she's here.
I've been told to watch my P's and Q's.
No, don't listen to Demo Primo. He ain't nobody. Don't listen to him. we got you. We got you in here. We got you.
It's really quick to throw me under the bus. And Stephen Hawkins is actually joining us today in the studio.
Gracing us with his presence.
Also known as Black Squad. Also known as the man behind the mask.
Gracing us with his presence.
No, I don't feel you at all.
At all. No.
Yeah, he's been gone, but you know, it's nice
He's
to have
here
him
today.
back.
It's about what, 20 years?
Yeah, I know, right? It's been a
like
minute.
it.
Yeah, it's been a minute.
Now we gotta take care of some dirty laundry here. What was happening with the pictures in the studio? I'm over here trying to set everything up, and this old lady is showing people pictures.
Gigi.
So
Gigi was making us part of the family.
So, lady about to jump through the glass.
I know. We are family now, and Gigi wanted to show us family photos. Okay, I don't know why you were tripping. You know, it wasn't embarrassing photos. It wasn't like you naked in the tub or nothing. It was actual family stuff.
We found out that Devontae swagger jacked his grandpa.
Yeah. Now that, yes. Yeah, we did find that out.
Like this man, for one. Like,
yes.
It's weird.
That
like,
was his
brothers.
baby. Yeah, that was his baby.
And then on top of it, I swear I've seen articles of clothing from that picture from 67?
Yeah, at the house. Yeah, he probably did.
Yeah,
he probably copping them clothes. He been wearing them clothes.
Absolutely crazy.
It's not just him. His sister wore my Ziggy Marley.
Okay, Grandma, be careful. Is what he talked about.
You know what?
She's
Hi,
about to go in. No, I'm just trying to protect the integrity of the show.
You know what, Kyle?
Yes, ma'am.
I'm from the generation that's not afraid of kids.
Yeah, they're not at all.
And I'm in the generation that is afraid of everyone, including
everybody.
I kill a kid. Yeah. Call CPS if you want to, because by the time they get here,
ready.
You hear this, Devontae? She's talking to you.
Hey, dude, I'm just trying to get this show going. All right, so
get the show going. You brought up.
You started it.
I just had to figure out what was going on. That's all.
No, we were just reminiscing with the family and everything we're doing.
I just had a Nina Simone picture from a concert I went to of hers while I was at college, and I have a Nikki Giovanni album.
So you have a lot of like personal experience with Nina Simone. Like,
of course.
This is very
Angela Davis,
everybody.
Nina Simone, Nikki
Giovanni, those ladies.
Roberta Flack,
my
girls.
Oh, the ladies.
My girls.
They were doing the damn thing back then. So yeah.
And I was sitting there learning everything I could.
Exactly. She brings the wisdom, Devontae.
I see a lot of that in her today.
Yes, and it made her the person she is today.
And that has been a real problem for a lot of people.
It's been a bumpy road.
So, if you guys haven't figured it out by now, today we will be talking about Nina Simone. I know last week we talked about Fela Kuti and his impact on music, and we dived into some of his classics. So, we wanted to go on to the American side of the African family and touch on Nina Simone, because she has this very interesting, haunting voice, this quiver that's in her voice, and her musical ability on the piano is outstanding. And so, even though her life was definitely full of her disappointments, rejections, underappreciations, devaluing, no doubt she is a legend.
Yes.
In the music game.
Very much.
So, just a little quick rundown. Nina, or her real name was actually Eunice Wayman.
Yeah.
Interesting kind of twist.
I know, right?
She grew up in South Carolina in 1933, and as a kid prodigy, she really trained hard on the piano and eventually was able to enroll in the Juilliard School of Music in New York. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that kind of surprised me. Yeah. Like I didn't think, because that was like that was in 1950.
Yeah.
And I was just kind of just like, they let black people go to Juilliard in 1950.
She was talented. I mean, they couldn't deny the talent. They couldn't deny the talent. I mean,
but the thing was though, white people paid for her to go.
Exactly. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It wasn't money from her family. They couldn't afford it.
Yeah.
But white people saw a skill.
Her talent. Yeah.
Yeah. And they let her go. She couldn't get into Curtis, but she went to Juilliard.
Okay.
Yeah.
So at the time, I guess, was Curtis another conservatory?
Yes.
At the time.
And that was supposed to have been the Primo.
The way that we think of Juilliard nowadays,
was Curtis was higher than Juilliard. Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. So kind of in that time period, when she was trying to make ends meet, outside of school, she started doing jazz in the nightclubs, and that's when she changed her name to her stage name, which is Nina Simone.
Yeah, because her parents weren't about that secular music.
Yeah,
they were both preachers.
Yeah, so they weren't. They were like, "You gonna be in a what? Doing what? Singing what?"
Exactly.
Yeah, so
they were talking about how not just her dad was a preacher, but her mom was.
Yeah, everybody was. Everybody was preaching in the family.
I was like,
wow. I mean, she couldn't do nothing.
Yeah, she was on lockdown.
You're gonna be out there in that juke joint.
But then that's what happens. They start rebelling a little. Not to say she was just doing it to make ends meet, but that was the music that kind of took her on, kind of thing. So that's what because she did a little bit of gospel, I guess, but it wasn't doing with the jazz, and that just propelled her.
That's what was exciting.
Yeah, it propelled her career.
And she really liked classical music.
Yeah,
that's really where her love was.
Yeah,
that's what she always wanted to do.
Yeah.
And just didn't really have the opportunity to get there.
Yeah.
But she was able to use the classical elements in her music.
Exactly.
So if you look at her music as an entirety, it has gospel, jazz, pop,
gosh,
classical.
It is a weird mix.
She was bad on that piano.
It was a really weird mix. Like, I saw somebody on a documentary trying to play one of the same songs that she did, and they started wringing their hands.
They're like, how did she do that? My fingers hurt.
People normally cannot play that briskly.
Yeah,
right. Or
she had the passion in the fingers.
Right.
It's like da 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 da. Yeah,
it's crazy. We can go into her technicality of what she's doing that makes other people's hands ache later, but but suffice it to say that it was like, wow.
That was a gift. That was a gift.
Her singing broke her down. Her music playing broke her down. This stuff actually wore her out.
Yeah, it was exhausting.
So,
yeah.
So unfortunately, we're not able to play all of her music.
Of course, because she has a very big body of work.
She has a catalog.
Yes,
over 40 albums.
Big catalog.
Yeah, 40 albums out. But we did select some of the classics that kind of show her range. Mm-hmm. So without further ado, I give you Nina Simone.
You know how I feel.
Yeah, feeling good.
Sun in the sky, you know how I feel. Cry.
All right.
Yeah, that song paints the picture.
Yeah.
I mean, really paints the picture. I mean, you can't, and since it's a slow song, so you hear all the words, so you can see, oh my gosh.
It lets you develop a thought and an image while it's talking.
Exactly.
Right.
But the thing is that
you talk about those eyes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But when you think about it, the Billie Holiday did a version.
Exactly. Yeah.
That's her song.
Yeah, that's her song.
But even But even like Kyle was saying earlier, it was on "Touched by an Angel." Della Reese sang it on the show.
Yeah.
So it can't be let go. I mean, the story isn't any different yet.
It's still relevant.
Yeah. And this song is used in virtually
everything.
Any kind of civil rights documentary, TV show, anything that has to do with civil rights. This song is somewhere
definitely
in the picture.
Exactly.
So I did want to mention some of the other songs in case you guys wanted some homework. Some songs to kind of
There will be a test. There will be a test.
Mississippi, goddamn.
Yeah,
You know,
that was a big
African
one.
Mailman, Go to Hell, I Love You, Porgy, Baltimore, Ain't Got No, and her cover of Here Comes the Sun. You guys make sure you check those out because those are actually some really good tracks.
Yeah.
And if you want to hear the song "I Love You, Porky," go watch Porky and Bess. It's
Exactly.
not Porky; it's Porgy.
Porgy, yes,
and
Porgy,
Bess.
not Porky the Pig.
It's a black
Porgy.
opera,
Yes,
and it actually was a good show.
by
Yeah.
Gershwin.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So
And
Why do you know so much random stuff from like 19?
Because she's Stephanie. That's why she
Stephanie
knows.
Mac D Neal.
Yeah, because you're not even that old to know some of that stuff. Sometimes, like, you ever notice that with Stephanie? She'll like pull out, like, yeah, them my girls. I'm like, Stephanie, how?
You're 12. What?
Like, you're from like the 80s, like to the s'more.
You're 12.
She has a very,
90s.
she has a very old soul.
Yeah.
That's hilarious.
It's like, how old was your mother? Did she just like baptize you?
And all of that, just all of that. No, it's just living. I'm interested in a lot of things, and I like.
and
to learn
that's
a lot of
all it
things.
takes is if
Yeah.
you're interested in it, it
Yeah.
sticks, and
Yeah.
you just go and look it up.
Yeah.
So, what were you guys' thoughts on her music? Like, what are your takeaways?
Chaos.
Chaos.
No, like the way she plays the instrument sometimes, it like, yeah, she has her slow stuff, but when she's, and you especially hear it in that Mississippi Goddamn, oh my goodness, where her, it's like she's two different people.
Yeah, she's possessed
Doing
by the,
something,
yeah.
like literally, like one hand's possessed and she's trying to keep a certain melody with one hand, while her other hand's just like.
That's like-
But you know, that's the song where she like lost her voice.
Wow.
Well, she
believe
wasn't able
it.
to sing. No, she wasn't able to sing the same way after that voice because, like, after that time, I think it was Medgar Evers that died and the Mississippi.
Yeah, it was a lot
Yeah.
of going
Yeah.
on.
So
Yeah,
she was
a lot.
she was just pissed off.
Yeah.
So she was literally screaming that song.
I
Yeah.
did not expect that about her. Though she was like, I understand like when you're active about something. Like nowadays, activism is so kind of. It's like, yeah, I feel strongly about something,
Donate to
but
charity.
but I can go like about my daily life.
Yeah, they're not out in the streets and doing songs and doing
When
this.
those people got killed in like, I was 1963, I believe, like right before she wrote this song.
Yeah.
Like she after they were killed, she was like, you know, gonna get a gun and just start go to
Yeah,
start shooting people.
Yeah.
That's what she wanted
She's
to do.
taking action.
And they convinced her. It's like, you don't have any training with a gun. What are you doing? And she's,
I don't care. I'm just
So
mad.
she's trying to be Charles Bronson. That's what she's
Yeah,
and she had this quote where she's talking about how like, all I gotta do is hold it. I know who I'm shooting at. I was like, oh my goodness.
Gangster. She trying to go gangster
Hey,
with it, you know.
it kinda
And back
reminds me-
then, they didn't care about going to jail. They all went to jail for the cause. They didn't
Yeah.
care. You know, it's like, take me to jail. It's fine.
Well,
you
that
know.
reminds me of Fela Kuti.
Yeah, same thing.
Where it was like a rap battle, except for when you use words, they use violence.
Yeah, exactly. He was
'Cause
just like, I'm just making a
she
song.
She's probably angry because like the
And some of these people she knew.
yeah the whole
too.
church bombing part, like that could have been her in that church because
Yeah.
she was in the
Or
church.
people she knew.
Or
Or
people she knew.
family, something.
So
yeah,
of course
it
back
cut
then
home.
that the weight of all this situation, all the bad things that happened back then was very possible happening to everyone.
Yeah,
Like,
no
stuff-
one was immune.
Like not everyone's going to experience police brutality nowadays, but back then everyone experienced
Everybody.
it at some point.
Kids,
So,
everybody, you know,
Even
everybody.
if you didn't live in that area, you probably carried the same amount of anger, the same amount of frustration
Yeah.
that she did. Even her being rich and famous and going to all these shows, she could see.
Yeah, she still was
people
like
hurting.
aware. She was aware.
And it didn't matter because back then the biggest phrase was, "What do you call a black doctor in a Mercedes?" Nigger.
Still.
So regardless
Yeah.
of what your title
Still.
was, what your position, what your educational level,
black.
you still were driving while black.
yeah.
And people
They'll
got,
come to
you
see
think what
you.
people can get away
Yeah.
with now and police,
Yeah.
and they've got media. There was nothing back then.
Yeah, there was no Snapchat, no
I think-
Facebook.
Well, no, they used to take postcards of that stuff. They used to hang
Oh, yeah.
people
Pictures.
and all take
Yeah, they
pictures
do
of
have
it.
pictures, yeah.
So there's
Pictures.
people saw it and they
But
just
it wasn't
thought,
live.
oh well.
You know,
There's
like
a
it is
there's
now.
a museum. The guy in Chicago started it, and there's a offshoot of it in Milwaukee about the hangings. And he was one of the people that was supposed to be hanged with three
know
other
that guy,
friends. Yeah, and he got away, and he started a museum, a hanging museum. And that was the reality.
Yeah, and then people didn't want to look at it. It's like, this is what it is.
Bro, when you look at those pictures, you see like little white kids drinking
standing
lemonade.
there having fun.
Yeah, while
this was a social
swinging from a tree.
Exactly,
So,
and they're just like, oh, okay.
They
cool.
put on their Sunday best to go watch a hang, like they did a hanging back in the West.
Yeah,
that was a
hanging,
social.
lynching, all of that.
Yeah, back then executions were like public, and everyone
yeah, they're
knew
like,
it.
hey,
but
be
it
there at
wasn't.
6.
But it wasn't a celebration. It was like, hey, everyone, look at what happens when you commit
you're
a crime.
making an example.
Right, but when it was a black person, it was a
wasn't a crime.
celebration.
Yeah, it was a celebration.
Yeah.
So it's completely.
It's like, we got another one.
Different text now.
What?
I'm not gonna lie to you. That it's moments and it's artists like
Lie to us, Stephen.
What?
Lie to me.
We mean lie to you.
You said you weren't gonna lie to me. Lie to me,
Oh,
Stephen.
lie to you.
He's been formed to say that his whole life. He doesn't know
Yeah, exactly.
It's my way of like, saying I'm about to drop some real truth.
I'm about to
Lie
drop
to
it
me.
down.
I'm about to drop some bars.
Yeah.
Word. It still gets to me sometimes when I think about like how like with Emmett Till's situation, how like he was like dragged behind a car, beaten to like a bloody
And he was only 15 years old.
15 years old, and then they had a picnic
Yeah.
at the courthouse. Like, you know what I mean?
Oh yeah, I do.
Like, and that's
Yeah,
why I
it's
look
crazy.
and that's why I kind of look at people like nowadays. It's how they kind of just like, well, I don't understand why you guys are still mad or anything like that. It's like because they got away with it.
Yeah.
Everybody got away with doing.
But that lady,
what he did-
that lady, like right before she died, she was like,
Oh, yeah, I lied about
Yeah,
that.
I'm
It was like-
lie, they should have Me Too'd her.
Yeah, she should have went to jail for a minute for that. It's like, you're going to spend the rest of your days in a prison, for real. You can't do that.
It doesn't matter because
Yeah.
just like that Cherry, the guy who bombed the church with the 4 girls in it.
Yeah.
He lived to a ripe old age and then he confessed when he had cancer and he was dying.
Yeah, that's true.
You've lived.
Yeah,
Those girls didn't get to live.
yeah. They
So
were young.
what does your confession mean now?
Nothing. You're right. You're
If
right.
they knew it was you back then.
Exactly. Yeah. And you
But the
just got
thing
away
is,
with it.
the thing is, if you're old, which I am,
Not that old.
I
Gigi.
remember a guy. He was a policeman in Forest City, Arkansas, and he was there when they did a tar and feathering, and it was one of our cousins actually, and they tarred the guy, and that started the skin to burn because
Yeah, it's a hot
is
tar.
hot, and
Yeah,
then they
hot
put the
tar.
feathers on him. That policeman never was able to eat another day in his life because there is nothing worse. I've worked in the medical field my whole life. Nothing worse than burning flesh.
Wow.
If you want to be in a place where the people are in pain, they're yelling, and little kids like those ones that came from Guatemala, there's nothing worse than somebody who has been burned because the skin is cooked and the next layer under it is melting.
The fat, yeah.
You don't get relief for a long time.
Yeah.
But the smell is just
Forever.
amazing.
yeah.
And that fool, you thought you were doing something, but it killed you.
Exactly.
And I couldn't have been happier if my life depended on it twice.
So in regards to her music, you can definitely see, like everything that she was seeing, everything that she was going through. She put it
Yeah,
in her
she's
music.
just telling them.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is what it is.
I heard a lot of people really liked her like androgynous voice. How you can't necessarily tell.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. One of my friends back in the day when I first
Stephanie's
started.
really excited about
No,
this.
but
She's
it was just,
interrupting everyone.
This is kind of it's kind of funny though because when I was playing Nina Simone when I bought my first.
Oh man,
song,
you know what I really love?
Yeah, shut
See how it feels?
when I played my first Nina Simone CD in the car and everything, and I had one of my friends with me and everything, and she said, "Oh, who's that guy?"
Oh,
I said, "That's Nina Simone." It's like, really? That's a chick? I had to pull out the cover.
Really?
And everything.
That's what like high res.
I don't
like,
understand that.
It always sounds like a woman.
I always
She sounds like a woman to me.
See,
Yeah.
the thing about it is, I think that some of that might be a product of like, it's certain songs. She does not sound like just she doesn't sound like she has a woman
certain
voice.
songs, yeah.
Like sometimes it sounds
I
like
understood,
a guy
but-
with like a kind of like a little higher.
Yeah, like
voice.
Frankie Lyman or something.
You know what I mean?
Kind of, the high falsetto.
I don't know what you guys are talking about.
I don't get it.
I don't either. It's a woman to me.
Yeah, but
That
I
was a
mean,
woman.
just certain people. But I was like, that's a woman. It's just like, really?
Yeah, I don't,
Nah, there's
I think
it's
it's too
pretty
many
well
people-
documented. People talk about that all the time. though.
But then too, we're in a time period where a lot of folks were confused on gender anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I guess.
Yeah, but I was like,
Watch
I was
it, Devontae.
surprised,
Hey,
yeah.
dude, everybody knows.
What's that one dude that people thought was black? Bobby Carlisle.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Caldwell, Bobby Caldwell.
Yeah,
Everybody thought he was black.
Everyone's like,
thought he was black.
Exactly. He was at the cookout and everything, and they like, that dude white. Shocked. Listen to that song for years.
So you guys think that? So she touched on a lot of these subjects. Do you think things have moved forward from these racism, sexism type?
Yes,
Well,
it has moved forward
a little bit.
One of the things that I liked about what she, some of the things that she thought back in the day was she was calling for a separate state.
Liberia?
No, in America, here in the
state,
United States,
not a country.
Yeah.
Oh wow!
And that was the same thing that the Nation of Islam was looking for at one point too. Elijah Muhammad said that we needed our own state. If we can build a country for the white man, why can't we build it for ourselves? And that didn't go over big, but she had an insight to maybe you don't want us here. We can be happy with ourselves.
Yeah.
And she didn't like the second class citizenship that like the Vietnam vets had when they came back from the war.
Nobody did. No.
She really was pissed about
really,
that.
Yeah.
And she found a good following and camaraderie with Langston Hughes and James Baldwin.
And Lorraine Hansberry and all of them, their little group. Yeah.
But even the white artists like Amy Winehouse and Adele, they saw the value in her music and her sound.
Yeah, they kind of patterned. She was influencing them.
Because college campuses really, because that's where I saw her first was at our college campus. Yeah, because it was a time where they had more black students and they had a black house and black history was becoming popular. And so we would bring people that they never had at Wesleyan before. And, they were becoming very popular on college campuses. Because it was giving us something to think about.
Yeah.
So that was the resurgent of their careers, and then Europe. So.
Yeah, since her music got played in Europe a lot, I think a lot of Europeans.
Yeah, they appreciated it more, better.
Because she went to Switzerland, and she went to
traveled.
Liberia, and she went to France.
Yeah.
But I think, what were you saying about you think we've come a long way?
I mean, guys, if I was living in 1970, trying to go to school and stuff like that, I wouldn't be where I am. No way.
In what year?
1970 compared to 2018. Have we come a long way? Yeah, we have. Do we still have a ways to go? Yeah, but I can't sit here and try to act like we haven't come a long way.
Yeah,
we've come a ways. I don't have to worry about I generally, if I go out somewhere and I speak to a white person or get crossed with them at a bar, I don't have to worry about someone coming in and just
getting lynched.
Yeah, getting lynched.
That depends on what part of Texas.
That's where you go.
That's right.
Yeah, but you don't venture off in those places anyway.
Yeah, don't go to Viter.
No way you would ever find me in Gasper, Texas,
or Viter.
Yeah.
I ain't gonna lie to you. I've been to that Walmart in Jasper a few times. So
I told my youngest daughter not to go to Viter.
Yeah,
because there was no way in.
Nothing there for me.
Nothing.
So I mean, I'm not afraid of getting lynched because it's like, who's gonna be coming after me in Houston, Texas?
Exactly.
A girl got lynched not too long ago
in Houston.
I don't know. I hope it wasn't in Houston, but it was in Texas.
Yep.
Yeah.
So
when I worked, when I worked for service,
ready.
Hashtag Demo Primo. You can find him on.
Yeah.
Come at me, bro.
Pull up.
God, you sound like one of them trolls.
I think you were, because 1970 is way back for you.
Yeah.
1970 was a good time. I'm gonna tell you, the educational system has gone to hell since 1970. We had BEOG, SEOG. There were grants to go to school on. I went to school and came out with a college education and no debt.
Mm-hmm.
And you always had extra money. Because your grants, you didn't have to pay
overpaid,
back.
yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, it didn't cost that
I
much.
wish I could get some
Y'all went to school for $1. They went to school for $1.
Exactly.
Can I get a grant just for living?
Thank you.
Now,
that's when people are talking about, how it was back in the 70s. I was grown in the 70s.
Mm-hmm.
And that was not the case. We had grants, and there were better jobs. People had more money.
Yeah, you could support your family on everything. Yeah.
You don't know. And I was black going to college.
So are you saying that things have gotten worse?
Things have not improved. We're
got
at
worse.
like
They
a
just had
stagnation.
Better jobs. You mean like working on like an auto plant or something like that? Like,
No, I was a medical technologist, homeboy. I didn't work at an auto plant.
Okay. You better tell him, Gigi.
What I'm saying
Now,
is,
Steven, maybe you be working at an auto
that's what I'm
plant.
saying. It's like, there's no
Find
way
out
I'll
what
be working
exactly-
in finance. Like
He
I
wants
am.
her to be like. He
There's
wants her
no
to say there was like
way.
ninjas every 5 minutes attacking her or
But
something
see,
like
that's
that.
the
Like
thing.
just something horrible.
If you needed to work, like I have friends. Well, we were in Wisconsin. Mr. Bob and my friend Rhoda, who she worked at the blood center with me. He could not learn. He worked at an auto plant. He made good money. A lot of my ex-husband's family still works at Fisher Body. They make good money.
Yeah.
All right,
They
so
are happy.
are we saying that because the original question was talking about improvements in racism and sexism. Now we're more now talking about
Like,
Economics, yeah.
But I mean, can you really separate? Can you really
I don't think
separate
you
the
can.
two?
So the consensus here is that basically some areas have improved, but other areas have
Stagnated.
Yeah.
have gotten
Yeah.
worse, so that it basically levels out.
Yeah,
Yep.
a little bit. To a point, yes.
It's always going to balance itself
Yeah.
out. The price of that's why in California you can make a lot of money, but it's expensive to live out
Right.
there.
Yeah.
Where out
Your
here
money
you
is
might not
still-
make a lot of money, but it's cheaper to live out here.
But you're
It's,
all right,
it's all
yeah.
about balance.
So basically, you had the threat of getting lynched, but you had a good job.
well, I don't think you had a
livable.
in
Yeah.
the 70s. I don't think it was still lynching time in the 70s like it was
No,
back
it
in
wasn't.
the 40s
Yeah, they
and
kind of
50s.
leveled dates.
Right.
Especially
that
after
kinda
like
played out.
Vietnam and stuff, like
Yeah,
like
they had that to
America
worry
was
about.
so different,
Yeah.
and like corruption started to become more noticeable that people just didn't fall in line like they did back in the 40s
That's
and
true.
50s.
Yeah.
So you
And the
didn't
reason-
have that.
In my opinion, it's never been race number one. Money is number one.
Always.
Like
Because
socioeconomic boundaries.
Jews
Yeah.
and
Capital.
Muslims can work together if there's money involved. They don't even care about your religion or your
Yeah, they just get that, make that money.
You get that money. So it's money, race, religion, because the money is first. Look at Trump. He went to Saudi Arabia. So it's the money.
Yeah.
So if you have enough
That's why I
money-
always laugh about when people talk about Trump. It's like I feel like you guys are attacking at the wrong angle.
You are.
Like it's
Yeah.
just like no, like if you rich like him, he don't like we're on the same
talk to
page.
you.
Oh,
But
yeah.
if you're not rich like him, then you have a problem.
Exactly.
Man, I want to go in so bad, but that's not the topic today. Devontae,
Yeah,
next
okay.
question?
Next question.
What's the topic? What do you want to talk about?
No, we were talking about Nina Simone.
We're still talking.
Oh,
Yeah.
it's still
So-
talking.
When he brought up
this
Trump,
is,
I was about to go in, but I was like, no, not today.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
this is what you get when you put OG, Granny, and Steven in the room. The conversation goes all over the place. I'm having a hard time keeping up. I'm just like, wait, what was my original question?
That's why I like your
Scroll back to the
GGC.
The answer is yes. Whatever it is,
I don't know.
just say yes.
I don't know.
B15. B15.
I don't know what's going on, man. I completely lost control of this whole conversation.
Yeah, it just got away from us. Yes, very much.
Oh,
No,
would you
but-
have moved away from the U.S. if you had to deal with the level of racism at that time?
Oh yeah, she eventually moved out. She's
Yeah,
like,
she
I'm
went
done.
to- yeah, she
I
went
don't
to
blame
France.
her.
It wasn't just her, like you said. It was James
Thank
Baldwin.
you.
It was like a
Yeah.
lot.
Yeah,
of
a lot of folks, a lot of artists.
Not at all.
Yeah.
Eartha Kitt, Tina Turner,
Yeah,
Dorothy
everybody.
Dandridge.
Yeah.
Somebody talked about that. They were talking about how, like, back in World War II, you had a lot of black soldiers who never been to Europe.
Never left Italy after they came
Yeah.
out of the war.
Yeah, they're like, we staying here.
Because they was like, wow, there are white women here that love me.
Right.
I'm not going back home.
Why would I go?
That sounds like Malcolm.
That sounds like
It does sound like Malcolm. It does sound like Malcolm. Shout out to Malcolm Thomas.
Shout out to
I was waiting
Malcolm.
for you to chime in on that.
It does sound exactly like
Yeah,
him.
student.
Why am I going back to America?
but in all honesty, it's like, why would you go back to a place that literally hates you?
Right.
It's
Yeah,
best for
and
you to
you're
stay in a
fighting
place.
on their behalf, and they still like
Yeah,
whatever.
you're fighting on their, like, you still got to sit behind the prisoners on,
Yeah,
on the train
exactly.
because they
What was
fight
all
black
that
So-
prisoners
ridiculous
more than
worship of the warrior
Kind of-
class that we have nowadays?
Kind of a
back then.
piggyback from what you just said, Kyle, and what OG said about Nina was a part of the party that wanted to have their own state. The interesting thing about that whole narrative, I forgot exactly who said this, but they were saying it's really interesting how these two parties wanted to have the state, and they were asking the government to get a state when in actuality they should have just taken one. Like if they really wanted,
to move on the area because they'll move away from you once you move there.
yeah,
Are you talking about America?
yes. Like
What state was this they wanted?
so originally they were just asking for a state, So they didn't specify exactly which
You
one.
know, damn well, they'd give us like Vermont or something like that.
Yeah.
Wyoming.
Some
But
little
so the
state.
thing is,
Do you know that Wyoming
thought
wouldn't
of
be
it.
a bad state to take?
It would not be a
There's a lot of resources
In
there.
the
Yes.
middle of nowhere.
Syrup.
There's a lot of resources.
Lot
there.
of
You want to
We
be
got
by,
syrup.
but you also,
Because
don't you
I
want to be by
guarantee
the
they would-
coast or by the shore? That way, like fishing
you have a port?
and port. Yeah,
They would have given
you
us.
don't want to be stuck in the middle of a racism.
Utah.
They would have given us some like random state, and as soon as it got good, then they're like, "Hold up, hold up, hold
Oh
up."
yeah. No,
Hey,
you gotta
yeah.
come out of there. No,
Hey,
come
what are
out
you
of
doing?
there.
Like, this
like-
is actually ours, so I don't understand. Like, we're going to war with you guys.
Yeah,
you
we
don't
gonna
give
fight
us
for
back.
you.
I mean, that's basically what like the Virgin Islands and all it is. It's like, oh hey, we give you an area, but we're gonna make it a tourist attraction. We're gonna tax this and
Yeah.
get money off of that. and blah,
Puerto
blah,
Rico.
blah.
So
Yeah.
thinking this whole thing through. You're right. There would have been a situation where if they were militant about it, they could take let's say Seattle, since it has a port,
Yeah.
right?
Actually,
so all
Washington
the-
would have been a good choice.
Has
So,
a port and a border.
so black people took Seattle, right? Then hopefully, if they were smart, they would have beefed up their military because they knew the U.S. was not going to like that.
Well, first off, it's not gonna be called Seattle no more. It's gonna be called something else.
Yeah, you're right. But yeah, so then you run into the whole military conflict, right? The U.S. really wanted Seattle back, or whatever the new name for Seattle was. They could easily take it back with the amount of force. The biggest thing that the black state could do at that point is be like, all right, look, let's try to win influence around the other states so that people are conflicted if they try to fight us.
Well, that or what they'll do is they'll probably like try to show their value. Like, hey, we have this, we have that.
Yeah, we can trade.
We have things that we can offer.
Well, I
and
mean,
trade.
that's how the black state.
Then we're gonna go
that's why
back.
the black state has to be ethereal and not just this like physical like thing. Like it has to be a connecting thing that connects all of us, especially in an age like now with like the internet and how necessarily you could have a friend in Dallas that you guys have an incredibly close friendship because you see them all the time, like whether it's social media
Yeah.
or something like that, without physically being in the same place.
Yeah.
So that's why honestly I think that if they had known the advances that we would have now, they would have gone for a more ethereal route because we already know what America does whenever they see something that they gave somebody that looks good, that they want, they go and
They take it.
Take it back.
Well, and you see how making a second state has happened has worked in Israel because they've let fruits and stuff die because they just hate so badly.
Yeah.
They're not going to let the Palestinians have a harbor. They're not going to let them
Yeah.
take their fruits to the harbor.
Yeah.
It's just hate is a monster.
Yeah.
It's like if I can't get a good deal, nobody gets a good
Right.
deal.
Yeah. And take it back.
That's why when you were talking about the president earlier. It's like there are people like that who their main goal is to screw people over.
Exactly.
It's not about finding balance where you get something and I get
Fairness
something.
or
We're all
anything,
happy. It's like
yeah.
no,
I
need
get up
to
on top.
I need to get 1% more than everybody else. If not, then we're not doing it.
Yeah.
So it wouldn't work out if we had our own state. Now, if we had multiple states, maybe.
Maybe.
But one state full of black people, that sounds like, hey, fish in a barrel. Let's attack
Exactly.
at once.
Yeah.
Well, that's what
Yeah, I don't think we're unified enough to really sustain.
We're not even. We'll mess around and split the state in half somehow.
Exactly.
It'd be light skin versus dark skin.
Yeah,
something like
north
that.
side,
Exactly.
north side, south side.
I feel like that would happen. Like this is.
We
that's
just
not-
segregate our own selves.
because that's
Like,
what white people have done it too. So it's not like it's
Yeah.
that's a human thing. Anytime
Yeah.
House versus field. We've
Yeah.
done it a million.
Republican versus Democrat, like
Yeah.
it's the
Same thing.
same faces.
Yeah.
But for some reason they just can't agree on one small thing. So we must divide the
Everything,
whole world
yeah.
up to make everyone happy.
It'd be interesting if, kind of going off of that, if we could take the approach of the UK. So, like, UK consists of England, Wales, Northern Ireland. I think that's
Scotland.
Scotland, right? So, in terms of, like, whenever there's a bigger threat, these individual bodies come together and it's like, all right, okay, we're going to fight, blah, 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 blah. But outside of that, and during peacetime, they're their own governmental bodies, right? So in a way, we could just adopt that, so that way everybody has their power trip. You can feel like
but
you're
in their own
important.
state, yeah.
But
they're in their
whenever
own-
there's a
yeah.
bigger threat,
they come together.
yeah.
But that's how the states were actually supposed to be. Like that's how they were under the Articles of Confederation, and then the federal government realized, oh crap, we can't tax anybody because everyone's just like,
They made that exact noise.
what? Like I'm literally imagining Texas with a face on it, or like Vermont with a face on it, going, oh, all right,
Sure.
sure.
I don't know.
Wait, so if you could move to if you had to move, where would you move to?
I would possibly. It would most likely be in an African country.
Okay.
I mean, the default would be Cameroon, but it needs to be somewhere where there's a potential for.
So you would move to Africa in the 70s?
In the 70s?
Yes.
Oh, yeah. Well,
You just did a Fela Kuti
Wait, so we're
story.
talking about 70s. Okay, we're talking about 70s.
Didn't she leave in the 70s or 80s?
Yeah, okay.
80-ish,
So
yeah.
in that
Yeah.
case, if we're talking about 70s, then my best bet would probably be the UK.
Okay.
Yeah.
Fish and
just-
chips? Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
wait until all the civil wars are done.
Yeah, let that die
See,
down.
I'd probably go to Japan.
Yeah. Aside from the casual racism that they have there, especially when dealing with black people,
Yeah.
it's just because they don't know black people.
And they really leave you alone. It's not like
Yeah.
they go for you. It's just like they're just trying to figure
They're
it out.
dismissive of you generally until they're like,
Until you sing a song in Japanese. They're like, oh my God.
Now you're a rock star.
Which
You're
is
a
so
rock star.
stupid to me because
Black
it's like,
Crow, what are you doing?
they have black Japanese people there.
yeah, a lot of them are like Nigerians.
Was it-
There's a
was
lot
it-
of Nigerians in
No,
Japan.
Miss.
apparently.
I think she was Miss Japan or something. She was
Yeah.
half black.
That's what I'm saying.
And they were
So,
like,
they're
yeah.
being surprised. It's like, are you?
Come on, man.
she's half Japanese. Like
Half Japanese.
Of course, she speaks Japanese. Come on now. Anyway,
Yeah, too funny.
but yeah, I would probably do that. Wait until all the civil wars are done, and then I'll probably
Roll
move
over
back.
to Africa.
Be like, all right, cool. You guys are done fighting. All right, cool.
I'll be honest with you. I would have gone somewhere, kind of how she pulled a France move. I wouldn't have gone somewhere where everybody looks like me. I'd have gone somewhere where I'm still a novelty, but like an appreciated novelty.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll change my answer to Mongolia.
Oh, you be a rock star in
There's a lot of
Mongolia?
there's a lot of dark skinned Mongolians out there.
Yeah,
You know that, right?
but I'll be the tallest person there. So I'll be a novelty.
With no
No,
facial
I was gonna say, like,
hair.
wherever it is, I necessarily like the civil wars aside. Like I wouldn't just kind of like go back to Africa because then you're not only starting at ground zero, but you're starting at ground zero without knowing any of the rules.
True, but it's different when you're an American going to Africa. I just feel like there's something about it that like. That no matter how much you think you'll be the same, you probably
You'll
won't.
be
You'll be
different.
too
Yeah.
American.
Yeah.
Oh,
Would
you're
anybody
like,
You'll still
You'll
stand
stick
out.
out.
You'll
God,
still
they'll look at
stand
you
out.
like,
Yeah, you'll still
"God, you
stand
stupid
out.
American. Like they'll call you that.
Would anybody go to Australia?
I was actually gonna say that, or New Zealand.
See,
I was
the
actually
way
Probably New
at that
Zealand.
time
Yeah.
how they were treating Aborigines people.
That was sideways. That was sideways. When was that Lost Generation?
There was
where
no
they killed all those kids that were on that island.
Yeah.
all those mixed kids.
Like there was like no safe place.
Yeah.
As a black, maybe like Canada, maybe.
You know what?
And you don't hear about Canada. Honestly, you don't hear about Canada until like 1990. Like most. Like,
It's like Canada
chilling.
didn't exist. It's
like
really
Canada-
like
Yeah,
that.
they were just
Canada-
chilling.
Canada was like
didn't exist.
Wakanda for like a good 100 years, and then one day they were like,
No one
"Oh
knew
hey,
what
does
it
anybody
was.
want maple syrup?" You're like, "Where's this come from?"
Who's this guy?
The
making all this
the
maple
mountain.
syrup.
What?
It's like
Where did this flag come from?
where's it? Wait, where's this
maple
Drake?
leaf?
Drake,
It's like,
Drake?
that's a fake
This is Drake
flag.
guy.
Stop posting fake flags at the UN, guys. Come on.
So honestly,
That's
like,
a leaf on there.
It's like really not a really like safe place for a
Yeah.
black person to go in that time period.
That's what I'm saying, Mongolia. Because nothing's happening in Mongolia. Nothing's happening in
Nobody's
Mongolia.
talking about Mongolia.
Nobody's talking about
They're not
Mongolia.
checking for
I feel like they
Mongolia.
got some serious member berries back in Mongolia.
I
Like,
feel like Devontae, he's held on that since like 4th grade when he heard about Genghis Khan. He was like,
He was like-
Mongolia.
it's like-
I'm gonna say this one day.
Mongolia.
I feel like Mongolia still talks about Genghis Khan. Like
That's
he's
all
still,
it. That's all it got.
he's still a celebrity.
Half the population is related to Genghis Khan.
Remember that time we almost took over the world?
That's why they were
Like,
so.
really almost took over the world, like not casually.
That's why they were so pissed off when Charlton Heston. Was it John Wayne when John Wayne played Genghis Khan?
No,
Was
he
it-
didn't.
Yes, he did. Yeah, he did.
Oh, look it
Yeah.
up one day. It is the most
Yeah,
racist
it
thing
is
in the
dis-
world.
yeah,
That's
it was
not cool.
disrespectful. Yeah. Yeah.
So, yeah. Wow. Mongolia. That's
It's because that one guy. It's because that guy from the Avengers movie hadn't been born yet. Not the Avengers, but Doctor Strange.
Yeah.
From Marco
Benedict
Polo.
Cumberbatch?
It's because that guy. No. The larger
Wrong.
Asian guy. Yeah, it's because he
Yeah,
hadn't been born yet. That's why. Because when I think of Genghis Khan, I think of that guy.
You think of Wong from
I do
Doctor
think of him.
Strange.
No,
It's because of Marco Polo. That's really why. Because he plays his son.
Next question. What artists do you think have been impacted by her? What artists?
We
you
kind of
think are
already
the
touched
best
a little bit
for?
on that one.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was during that period we were just jumping
Well,
off.
I like the
Well,
international vibe there.
I gotta get at. Well, okay, Gigi can probably answer this. Why was she welcomed on college campuses in the '60s?
Oh, because they were all about overthrowing the establishment and everything.
Thanks, Gigi.
Down with the man.
Wow, your voice got really deep.
What big hands you had, Gigi?
I try to bring it up.
It's my quiz bowl instincts. I knew it's a beep.
You know, it was a strange time back then because there were people who looked at the Black Panthers. They liked what they were saying. They liked what they were doing. But you also had to look at us from both sides because Black Panthers had white girlfriends. There were Muslims who had white girlfriends.
Everybody had white
Had a
girlfriends.
white
Shout out to
girlfriend.
Malcolm Thomas, everybody.
I mean, if you can. Why?
Hey,
So-
can you really be mad at them for that though? It's like
I cannot.
They're still
cannot.
fighting for civil rights. It's not like that.
That's
way.
it.
That was
Yeah, that's
civil
what they
rights
do.
fighting?
Yeah.
I mean,
doing-
how was that fighting for
Well,
civil
what I'm
rights?
saying is that that person's relationship is that person's relationship at home, but they still go to work and say, "Hey, like we got to end this racism. We got to end all this stuff," and then they go home.
But wouldn't
to
it be
the,
a conflict of interest though? That's
it would
what-
seem that way,
no.
but I
Because
don't
in
think
1,000 years, we're all going to look like high yellow people anyway.
Yeah.
See?
high yellow people.
So really, they were
1,000
fighting
years, that's how
so
it's
that
going down.
their relationship can be public.
True. That's what
It's like, let's get all this racism stuff out the way so I can walk around with my
So
snow
it's not
bunny.
about a people. So it wasn't
Let's
about the
get
people.
all this racism stuff out of the way.
so I can
So
walk
what
in
about
public
the
with my white girl.
I'm trying to take my girl to the
I'm trying to
speakeasy.
calm you.
Yeah, that's so sad.
I'm trying to calm you black women down. So
I'm trying to go to the Hamptons. I want to go to the Hamptons.
Yeah.
See, they passed the law of the Supreme Court, Loving versus Virginia.
Yeah.
So you could take your white chick out in
Still.
public.
Her name was.
you could, but you.
Nothing. That was her
Granny,
name.
I forgot
What's my
about
name?
that. Like,
Granny, you can
Yeah,
take your
that's
white. You
loving.
can take your white girlfriend in public, but you ain't gonna make it home.
Yeah, exactly. What you doing? You
Hey,
know?
that reminds me of that those old pimp movies because they always have like a roster of white girls.
No, he would have three. He would have two main black girls and have like one white girl who's like exotic.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
that's before they discovered Hispanic women.
That's
Yeah.
true.
Yeah.
That was like the
and
weirdest
Asian
thing.
women.
That
and
That
all
was
that,
after
yeah.
Vietnam, where like they were like,
Yeah.
oh yeah, Asian women, yeah,
Yeah, they cute.
okay,
Yeah,
Okay,
man.
okay.
Hey.
hey.
Add
can
her
make
to
some money off of
yeah,
her.
yeah. Add her to the stable, you know, kind of
The
thing.
stable.
Stable of women.
So Granny, before we got completely lewd, what were you saying?
Oh, back in the day about the white women and the.
Well, no, about Nina Simone in the colleges in the '60s. I don't know where you came up with this.
Yeah.
I did not know they had white girls.
No,
so.
the colleges loved her. I mean, I just saw Roberta Flack, Angela Davis, Nina Simone,
Wow.
and Nikki Giovanni at college. I mean, you could get the money to support a concert or a speaking engagement
They
for
did
them.
that for $1 in a can good.
And
There
then,
you go.
right, and then we would get certain colleges, like in Ohio. There's a lot of black colleges.
Okay.
And we'd get all the black colleges and
Oh, yeah,
get a
kinda
big
group them
concert.
together and have
we
one-
brought the Commodores one time, and everybody, the colleges split the money because we made a lot of money on
Yeah.
that. And people worked together back then. I have a real problem with black people not working together. I really
Yeah.
have
The
a
crab
real
mentality.
Unit is no
problem.
unity. Yeah.
Real problem. Because,
Yeah.
I mean, I was born in Thompson, I was born in Cleveland, but I was raised in Thompson, Ohio, which was all white. And I didn't like white people at all because they didn't like me. I consider myself a racist in reverse.
I don't like you
Or,
either.
or it's just like a
Whatever.
reactionary
You don't like me,
racist.
well, I don't like
you.
you.
know what I mean? You don't like
I'll
me, so
give you
like,
a chance,
why would-
but if you cross that line,
Then that's it.
you never have to speak to me again in life.
That's
Yeah.
why.
So it's probably very heartening when you see black people not being able to work together because it's
Exactly.
just like at the end of
Yeah.
the day, at least you should be able to work with other black people.
Exactly.
yeah, and come together.
I tell you, it's people who can't find a common ground. It's like, no, I got to get 1% more than this person. I got to get
It's still
2% more than
trying
this
to. Yeah,
person.
they're still trying to.
Well, if it
better
ain't
eat,
working,
you
well, we're
know,
not doing it then.
beat
Fine.
each other.
You know, but you know what's crazy is that if it really was that bad that like people are trying to one up each other, if that really stopped people from working together, then how did white people get so successful? Like, you know what I mean? Like,
Because they have one person they can always count on having one group that they're better than. We don't feel that we're better than anybody. I was raised around some white trash.
And they thought they were better than you.
Still thought they were better than me.
Like, we had more than you.
Exactly. They had one piece of butter more than we did, and we're all getting it from the government cheese place. But they still thought they were better because they
we
were
got an
white.
extra slice, so
Yeah.
whatever.
And that's the problem. They have to have somebody better that they can be better than. And I have had an issue with America for a long time about them always needing a nigger. Whether it be the black people, when they stopped trying to be niggers, then they made the Asians, and then the Indians never wanted to be niggers, and then the Mexicans and their own children. Because when they started shooting those Vietnam dissenters, when they'll go and shoot their own kids, you know there's a problem.
It's serious,
but how does that?
Those are some serious haters.
So Stephen's question was, how are white people able to set aside all those differences and work together? How does being able to know at least you're better than one group of people help with that? Like
because they still can feel important.
But how does that go into them actually working together though?
I can work with somebody that we have somebody that we're all better than.
Well, not just that. You gotta look at the social climate. Like they had an easier chance of moving through life than black person did.
So essentially, it hey, you win this time, but I'm probably gonna win.
You win this battle, I'm gonna win the war.
Wait.
Yeah.
Even if I have to wait a little bit, I don't mind waiting a little bit. But they know that I'm going to win.
Because at some point in time, somebody could probably drag you out your house and hang you.
Yeah,
and I don't have to worry about that.
I'm trying to figure out, because to me, when Stephen asked that question, which I think is a very legit question, to me, I was looking at it as white people are humans just like everyone else. They have issues with each other, but they can set aside those differences to work together.
You were talking like the United Kingdom.
Achieve something.
You're talking like the United Kingdom thing. Where like, hey, look, we may fight like kind of like a brother.
Like I hate you,
but it's like siblings. It's like we fight amongst each other, but if someone from the outside comes at us, we all turn and face that oncoming threat together. They were like a lot of black people that didn't have that.
Yeah, everybody was fighting.
There's so much. There was so much infighting. It was like it's hard for them to turn around and face anyone. But also, you gotta look. Like I said earlier, that there wasn't any advantages being black.
Yeah.
But even without advantages, you still have a common enemy.
Yeah, like the common enemy.
Regardless of what your advantages are, if you have a common enemy, you have something in common.
That's it.
But you think you are better than them. Why did house niggas feel better than field niggas?
Because they were in the house.
Exactly.
They had the advantage.
even though it's both hot. Like it's both hot. They didn't have everything back then.
They could sip the iced tea before they gave it to them. That's nice.
You were both.
They got the scraps first.
You were both treated like crap, but you were in the house.
Yeah, one's less crap than the other.
We still crap. Yeah, but you're just a level below us.
It's the same reason why servants of the king feel better than the people that are outside the castle.
Right.
Like, you know what I mean? Of serfs and stuff like that. You know what I mean? It's because of proximity to power.
Yeah.
And what we've been taught is
right
of value. I mean, I'm a person that doesn't need much. I'm not high maintenance. I don't want a whole lot of money. So I don't need any of that crap. I just want to survive, okay?
Yeah.
I can understand that.
And if you are somebody who thinks I got to have glit on this hand and glit on this hand and all this, Mr. T was one of the worst characters you could have put in front of black people.
Hey, but he loved his mama.
I know.
And his jewelry.
Who doesn't love their mama?
And his jewelries.
But that's the kind of position that they had. So we want a flashy car. I got a big car. I got all the money I own in the world in my hand and in my pocket. So I don't have a bank account.
Yeah.
But I'm
flossing.
That's why we can't work together, because we're always trying to get one step ahead.
Yeah. And it's
like
material.
Other groups do that. Like if you ever watch that show with if you ever watch that show Fresh Off the Boat, the guy talks about how his uncle and his dad used to do that all the time.
Yeah.
Like they legitimately just constantly trying to one up each other with flash, new cars, new my store's doing this now. And what is your store doing?
You know the difference is? You know the difference that is that they can go back to wherever country that their nationality is and blend in and be normal. Black people really didn't. They couldn't. Every time.
So you're saying a tree can't grow without roots?
That's true.
Basically, because you have to look at something. I don't think there's any racism in China because everyone's Chinese. Now there might be class issues.
There's definitely
there's
class
class.
and poverty
Yeah.
stuff.
But-
But what you're saying is no one hates you just because, hey,
Yeah, you can go back. You can go back there, and you'll just be another Asian person. Where like black people, they couldn't go back to Africa. One, because they weren't from Africa. Two, because if they went back, there was
a whole different thing going on.
Apartheid was happening
Yeah, it was
too.
a whole. Yeah,
And then
whole nother
the
world.
And the colonialism, like
Yeah.
there was no way to
Military
escape
worlds.
that.
Yeah.
French people, a French person in America can go back to France and feel comfortable. And a Japanese person can go back to Japan and feel comfortable. There was no place for black.
they just have to
go
change their
Back.
clothes.
Yeah.
Yeah, but how does that factor into the whole teamwork thing that we were talking about earlier? Like,
So are you saying why black people can't come together and be team and work together?
so-
You have to have a common
no,
cultural touchstone.
So I'm really curious because Granny was talking about at her time period
yeah.
that the schools were able to put their money together to get the Commodores.
Okay,
and all
then
this.
what happened to that essentially?
Like so it's not like we never had that.
We done
that
it.
was there, and somehow over the decades it's kind of deteriorated in a way.
Well, because we've gotten into their society. I remember my grandfather, their church was the center of their community.
Yeah. we
He
don't have
wasn't
that.
trying. The church wasn't. The church. The church wasn't trying to be a mega church. It was trying to be the center of the community. They believed that a pastor
Helping,
was
yeah.
a shepherd,
Yeah.
and that you were overseeing your flock, and
Yeah.
that you should be trying to make the flock better. That's not what we do now. I need a $35 million plane so I can get
So I
from
can
here
floss.
to here to here.
To be fair, my name is Queflo Dollar, so you kind of knew what you were signing up for when you joined my church.
Exactly. And so
Wait, is that his birth name or he changed it?
No, that's his. That can't be his.
Pretty sure that is.
I think that's his real name.
Yeah.
So there's
real
a
name.
there's
Change
a
your name to
Mr. and Mrs.
Queflo.
Dollar. That's what you're telling
Right.
me.
Yeah. Yeah, Tyrone and Betty Dollar. Yeah.
But that's what the church was a centerpiece, and you could go to the church if you needed
food
money or
and
food
clothes,
or your
something.
rent paid
Yeah.
or
Yeah.
your children watched or if you needed to go to the doctor.
Yeah.
I remember when I was growing up, my mother was a midwife. My grandmother was a midwife, and when we moved to Ohio, Dr. Rucker was the only black doctor in the whole
Oh, wow.
area, and we paid him sometimes with chickens. Seriously.
Hey, you can eat that.
Yeah.
That
Exactly.
works for me.
Yeah.
Wait, live chickens or like this?
Live chickens.
See, you can go ahead and grow
Yeah,
eggs.
butter.
Yeah,
Yeah.
eggs.
Eggs until
Yeah.
you need the chicken.
Yeah.
And so this is the way life was. You worked together. You understood because we were all in the
everybody up.
same damn boat.
Exactly. Everybody's just trying to help everybody out.
Nobody was in a yacht. We
So-
were all rowing.
So the
Yeah.
difference, I guess the difference now is that we have too many boats.
Too many yachts.
Yeah,
Yes.
too many trying to get yachts. Yeah.
And kind of what she said earlier. She said a really good phrase. We're now a part of their ecosystem.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So like we don't have like our own
Value system. We
yeah,
have
our own little
value
thing that
system.
we can kind of coordinate and build together as a group. If people are looking for jobs, they're looking for jobs in those companies.
Yeah.
In those places. When we go to hospitals, we're going to those hospitals. We don't have our own hospital, right?
Yeah.
So I guess that's a huge factor. We went on a giant tangent in this show.
Hey, this was fun.
Yes.
Art reflects life, and
Yeah.
then life reflects art.
Yeah.
Yes. But at the end of the day, y'all, make sure to check out Nina Simone's music.
Yes. Take out the discography. There's a lot of good stuff
40
out
plus
there.
albums.
Yeah,
Crazy.
y'all will. You
there's
definitely
a
find
there's a
something you like.
documentary on Netflix too about her. That's really good.
Yes.
I saw that when I was looking things up. Yeah,
I'm not gonna lie to you. I didn't know much about Nina Simone. The first time I heard about Nina Simone was when I found out Zoe Saldana was playing her, and I was like,
Oh, yeah, there you went.
So then I went back and I saw the documentary
that
that
was a
came out.
travesty.
Actually,
That was a travesty.
I'll accept Zoe Saldana and not what's her name, the one that's that's really popular like Zendaya.
Oh, Zendaya, I know she's
Yeah.
tall.
People are all, like, I'm not
Yeah,
saying she's
that's-
not wonderful.
She's not playing Nina Simone though.
That's
No.
a
But
travesty.
what I'm saying is that I thought that's who you were saying, and I was about to like.
Oh no, they put prosthetics on this woman's
Yeah,
face
trying to
and
make,
darken the
and that's
skin.
like you could have found a dark skinned
could've
woman to
Yeah.
play her.
So I,
Lupita could have played Nina Simone.
Yeah, so don't-
I would have liked that.
Yeah.
So don't check that out. It's best if you check out the Netflix documentary.
Yeah, what
'cause
happened
it's
to
really
Nina
good.
Simone?
They could have gotten a more. They could have gotten a Leslie Jones.
Somebody, anybody but.
Okay, I understand that, but I still think you should get someone who can kind of sing or can kind of like.
Yeah, exactly.
Like the reason why Angela Bassett was Tina Turner is because Angela Bassett looked like Tina.
Tina Turner. She embodied
Tina Turner. So,
all right, we're already like.
But you know
okay.
And I just have one more thing to say.
Hurry up.
All right, Gigi. Let Gigi
close
talk.
the show.
All right, Gigi.
I want you guys to go and talk to your old folks and your family.
Oh,
I know. I don't want to talk to them
Get
old
the historical wisdom.
On that note,
back in my day,
you were listening to Lyrical Reviews. We'll see you guys next week. Here's
bye, everybody.
Some songs.
Bye.
Man. It's always a struggle with
that
these
doesn't
people.
make a lot of sense. I don't.
Can't take us nowhere.
we calling these people, Devontae.
I don't talk to my old people enough. I'll tell you that much. I don't.
Yeah, that's a jam right there too.
They always trying to tell me something. This is like, don't you know? What do you think?
Hi guys, it's Devo Primo. Hope you guys enjoyed this segment. If you want to listen to the full episode, make sure to download the app, the Afro Vibes Radio Houston app, and listen on Thursdays at 9 p.m. And make sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Enjoy.